So my screen is visible, right? Okay. So today's session is about Kubernetes 101. So let me introduce myself, Bug Bounty Hunter. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Twitter on the Twitter links. So today's agenda is about what is Kubernetes and what is Kubernetes with example, and we will understand the overview of Kubernetes, and we will come up with the hands-on demo on creating a cluster, deploying an app, exploring your app, exposing, scaling, and updating app, and at the end note, I will be showing the attacker's view on the Kubernetes. So, what is Kubernetes? So, Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration engine to manage containers in a large scale. Kubernetes will provide all the features you need to run Docker or Rocket-based container applications, including cluster management, scheduling, service discovery monitoring, secrets management, and more. So Kubernetes is born and designed in Google, and later on, Google donated it to Cloud Native Foundation. Since then, it has gained major support from the industry such as Red Hat, Microsoft, Amazon, Docker, and many other important players in the industry. So let's find out how Google manages 2 billion containers every week. So containers are new to this world, but not for Google. They have been using these containers more than a decade. It runs about 2 billion containers every week. So as it might be surprising, Google runs its core products such as Gmail, YouTube, search inside containers. As some of you are aware, Kubernetes was released in 2014. So how is Google managing all these containers more than a decade ago? That's what their secret proprietary tool, and that tool is called as Borg. So they have been using this Borg to create the cluster of servers and deploying containerized apps and scale it as per the demand. So when Google saw the emerging containerized technology after Docker released its first version of Docker container back in 2014, so they have developed a tool Kubernetes, and even in features it is similar to Borg. So it was developed from the scratch in Go language. So currently Kubernetes is a default container orchestration engine in Google Cloud. It K, and the last letter of the plus are there are eight. So that's what the name came from K8s for the Kubernetes. So I guess most of you have heard about Pokemon Go. So when they released this game around mid 60, they initially expected the traffic, let's say X. But when the game was released, within minutes traffic surged more than 50 times than initial exception. And that comes to 50x eventually. This unaccepted traffic crashed the booking on Go servers. So at the time, to keep up with the near antic, the company behind Pokemon Go took the help of teams at Google to move Pokemon Go to onto the Google container engine. So till date, Pokemon Go is the largest Kubernetes deployment on the Google Cloud container. So these are the companies running Kubernetes. As you can see, there are some of the well-known companies in the list, such as Walmart, Goldman, Apple, Shopify, Slack, and more. I guess by now we should think why Kubernetes is a leading orchestration engine of that. So let's start to understand what is Kubernetes example. So let's say there is a simple app. It is written in PHP and it had just one page. Currently, it is hosted on shared hosting provider and in shared environment. So what if I need my own environment? An app has an environment that it relies upon to run. For PHP app, The environment might include a web server, a readable file system, and PHP engine itself. So there are containers for that. Need to be managed and connected to the external world. Shared file systems, networking, scheduling, load balancing, and distribution are all challenges. So to overcome the challenges, Kubernetes came into the world. So Kubernetes is the Greek word for ship's captain. We get the word cybernetic from it. The Kubernetes project focus on building a robust platform for running thousands of containers in production. So how Kubernetes manages our PHP app? Kubernetes uses labels as name tags to identify things, and it can query based on these labels. Labels are open-ended. You can use them to indicate roles, stability, or other important attributes. So, in Kubernetes, a pod represents a runnable unit of work. Usually, you will run a single container inside of a pod, but for cases where few containers are tightly coupled, you may opt to run more than one container inside the same pod. Kubernetes takes on the work of connecting your pod to the network and rest of the Kubernetes environment. Let's say I am expecting a scenario where my app will be down. So, what if I need to clone myself? Replication controllers come into picture. So, replication controllers provide a method for managing an arbitrary number of pods. A replication controller contains a pod template which can be replicated any number of times. Through the replication controller, Kubernetes will manage your pod's lifecycle, including scaling up and down, rolling deployments, and monitoring. So, how outside world will find our app and how we can interact with the app. So, services comes into the picture. A service tells the rest of the Kubernetes environment, including other pods and replication controllers, what service your application provides. While pods come and go, the service IP address and ports remain the same. And other applications can find your service through Kubernetes Service Discovery. So, what if I need any volumes? A volume represents a location where containers can access and store information. For the application, the volume appears as a part of the local file system, but volumes may be backed by local storage, elastic block storage, and number of other storage. So, namespace. Namespace are Kubernetes objects which partition a single Kubernetes cluster into multiple virtual clusters. A namespace function as a grouping mechanism inside Kubernetes. Services, pods, replication controllers, and volumes can easily cooperate with the namespace, but the namespace provides a degree of isolation from the other parts of the cluster. So let's imagine a typical team structure where there will be one or more team members to provide a direction of manage to the team. We have a manager and all of team members work on a common goal, and the team manager is the one who coordinates various activities and supervises the entire team. And Kubernetes architecture works the same way like any other distributed application. Kubernetes architecture consists of at least one master node and multiple worker nodes. Currently, Kubernetes supports up to 5,000 worker nodes in cluster. So let's discuss one by one. Worker node. So it is nothing but a virtual machine or physical server running in your data center, or it could be a VM in the cloud. So pods. Pods, this is basically a scheduling unit in Kubernetes. We can think pod as a VM in virtualization mode. Each pod consists of one or more containers. So containers are, you most of you are already aware of container. Containers are runtime environment for containerized applications. These containers reside in pod. So master. So it is responsible for managing whole cluster. It manages the health check of nodes. It stores information about members of the cluster and its configuration inside the master. So when the worker node fails, it must the workload from fail node to another healthy worker node. So it's all about high level architecture. So let's move on to the Kubernetes master and understand what the Kubernetes masters do. So Kubernetes master is responsible to manage the entire cluster. It coordinates with all the activities inside the cluster and communicate the worker node to keep Kubernetes and applications running. So when Kubernetes is installed, four primary components will install. The one is API server. So it is kind of gatekeeper of entire cluster. Every operation is gone through API server. So to interact with the using the API server, there is a tool called kubectl. It is it basically talks to the API server for every possible operation. Then comes the scheduler. So it is responsible for physically scheduling pods across multiple nodes. Depending upon constants you provide in the configuration file, it schedules these pods accordingly. Then comes the control manager. It is responsible for overall health of impaired clusters. It ensures that nodes are up and running all the time and correct number of pods are running described in the configuration file. Then the main is the etcd. It is a distributed lightweight key values database. This is a central database to store current cluster state at any point of time. So it's all about Kubernetes master. So let's move on to the Kubernetes worker node. So coming to the Kubernetes worker node, as we have discussed earlier, it is a virtual machine or physical servers running in your data center, or it could be a VM in the cloud. So there are two main primary components here. One is a kubelet. So it is a primary node agent. The primary objective is to look for the pod specification that is submitted to the API server and ensures that containers described are up and running. So the next is a kube proxy. So all the entire network configuration is configured by the kube proxy and it is responsible for it. So it is a core networking component. So let me tell you the installation methods of Kubernetes. Let's say you don't want to install it on your machine and you have to practice the Kubernetes. So you can go with the play with K8s labs. If you are aware, say the same Docker also play with Docker consist lab. So you can go with the play with K8s lab. So if you have a minimum resource or a single machine, and then you can go for the Minikube. And if you want to practice the actual Kubernetes, and if you have multiple resources, you can go with the KubeAD. Also, there are some more cloud providers such as Google Kubernetes Engine, Amazon EKS, and Azure Kubernetes Service. So you can opt for any of this. So I will show you a demo for how we can create a cluster, deploy an app, update your app, scale your app, and other things. So let me share one screen. I hope my terminal is visible, right?
Yes, it does.
Let me SSH to my Kubernetes. So I have already installed Minikube here. Check that if it is properly installed by running a Minikube version command. So we can see that Minikube is in place. So to start the cluster, we can run Minikube start command. Great. Now we have a running Kubernetes cluster. Minikube started a virtual machine and Kubernetes cluster is now running in that VM. To check if kubectl is installed, you can run the kubectl version command. Okay, so kubectl is configured and we can see both the version of client as well as the server. The client version is the kubectl version. The server version is the Kubernetes version installed on the master. You can also see the details about build here. So let's view the cluster details. We will do that by running a kubectl cluster info command. You can see Kubernetes master is running at this IP and this port. Also kubedns is running on this IP. So we will be focusing on more on the command line for deploying and exploring our application. To view the nodes in the cluster, we can use the kubectl get nodes command. This command shows all the nodes that can be used to host our applications. We can see that it's in the ready state and it is ready to accept applications for deployment. So let's deploy an app here. So let's deploy our first app on Kubernetes with the kubectl create deployment command. We need to provide the deployment name, that is Kubernetes Bootcamp, and an app image location, including the full repository URL for the image hosted outside Docker Hub. So we have deployed our first application by creating a deployment. This performed a few things for you. Search for a suitable node where an instance of the application could be run. We have only one available node scheduled to the application to run on that node. Configured the cluster to reschedule the instance on the new node when needed. So to list out your deployments, we can use kubectl get deployments command. So we see that there is one deployment running a single instance of your app. The instance is running inside a Docker container on your node. Pods that are running inside the Kubernetes are running on a private isolated network. By default, they are visible from other pods and services within the same Kubernetes cluster, but not outside the network. When we use the kubectl, we are interacting through an API endpoint to communicate with our application. So kubectl command can create a proxy that will forward communications into the cluster wide private network. So we can create proxy here. So we now have a connection between our host and the Kubernetes cluster. The proxy enables direct access to the API from these terminals. So you can see all those APIs hosted through an proxy endpoint. For example, we can query the version directly through the API using the curl command. Let's say you have came across an SSRF and you can check if it is on the Kubernetes by looking for version to confirm the vulnerability. So the API server will automatically create an endpoint for each pod based on the pod name that is also accessible through the proxy. First, we need to get the pod name. We will store the environment variable that is pod name. So let's start to explore our app, which is deployed recently. So we can get kubectl get command to describe and look for the existing pods. So we see here the details about the containers inside that pod and what images are used to build these containers. So we can run describe pod command, that is kubectl describe pods. We see here the IP address, the ports used, and the list of events related to the life cycle of the pod. So anything that the application would normally send out becomes logs for the container within the pod, and we can retrieve these logs using kubectl logs command and given by the specific pod name. So we have already stored it in the environment variable that is pod underscore name. So we can execute commands directly on the container once the pod is up and running. For this, we use the exec command and use the name of the pod as a parameter. Let's list the environment variables. So now, next, let's start a bash session in the pods container. So as you can see, the Kubernetes service host is running on this, and the port is so. To start the bash, we are using the kubectl exec command and given by the pod name that is which is already in the environment variable and the bash. So we have now an open console on the container where we run our Node.js application. So as you can see, we are in the pod actually, and we can see the source code of the app is in the server.js file. So you can check if that the application is up by running a curl command. So here we use localhost because we execute the command inside the Node.js pod. If you cannot connect to Node.js localhost 880, check to make sure you have run kubectl exec command and are launching the command from within the pod. So to close the container connection type, we can use the exit command. So now let's start to expose our app. So next, let's list the current services from our cluster, that is using kubectl get services. Now we have a service called Kubernetes that is created by default when Minikube starts the cluster. To create a new service and expose it to the external traffic, we will use the expose command with the node port as a parameter. So kubectl expose and the that is type is node port and the port. Let's run again the get services command and see if our service is exposed or not. So as you can see, that new service that is on node port is exposed. To find out that our port is opened externally, we'll run a describe service command. So as you can see, that is 31418 port is open and it is running on that port. So let's create an environment variable for the node port that has a value of the node port assigned. Now we can test the app is exposed outside the cluster using curl, the IP of the node, and the externally exposed port. Already we have stored it in the bash environment variable. So we get a response from the server, and this we can conclude that the service is exposed. Now the deployment created automatically a label for our pod. With describe deployment command, you can see the name of the label, that is kubectl describe deployment. So as you can see, the label that is Kubernetes Bootcamp. So let's use this label to query our list of pods. We will use a kubectl get pods command with -l as a parameter and give a label here. So we can query the pods using the label. So let's use this label now. To apply a new label, we use the label command followed by the object type, object name, and the new label. So if I have to give the new label, that is app equal to VM for this Kubernetes bootcamp, let me change. So when our deployment happens, the name of the Kubernetes is the this is the default name, and there some random string is automatically assigned to the our deployment. Okay, just a second. So we will get the label name using kubectl get pod command. And we will apply a new label, that is app equal to v1. Okay, so as you can see, the, it is labeled now. So this will apply a new label to our pod. We pin the application version to the pod, so we can check it with the describe pod command. So we have already environment variable here, that is pod name. So we see that now now the label contains, that is app equal to v1, which I have recently applied to the pod. So and we see the pod. So to delete the services, we can use the delete service command. Labels also can be used here. So we can use kubectl delete, that is service, and the, so as you can see, the confirm that service is now gone. So we can confirm it by kubectl get services command. Now as you can see, there is only one service running. Previously there was one previous that is running on the node port, and the port was before, something like that. This proves that the app is now not reachable anymore from outside the cluster. Now we can confirm that that the app is still running with the curl command inside the pod. So as you can see, the app is running, but we cannot access to the pod name because of the service is not exposed anymore. So to shut down the application, you need to delete a deployment as well. So let's try to scale our app. So to list our deployments, we will be using the kubectl get deployments command. So we should have one pod. If not, run the command again. So this shows the name, lists the name of the deployments in the cluster. Ready shows the ratio of the current desired replicas. Up to date displays the number of replicas that have been updated to achieve the desired state. And available displays how many replicas of the applications are available to your users. So age displays the amount of time that the application has been running. So to see the replica set created by the deployment, we can use the kubectl get rs command. So notice that the name of the replica set is always formatted as deployment name and some random string. So the random string is randomly generated and uses the pod template hash as a seed. So two important columns of this command are, that is, one is desired, which displays the desired number of replicas of the application which you define when you create the deployment. This is the desired state. Next is current. So current displays how many replicas are currently running. Next, let's scale the deployment to 4 replicas. So we will use the kubectl scale command followed by the deployment type, name, and the desired number of instances. So kubectl scale and replicas as a 4. So to list our deployments once again, we can use kubectl get deployments command. So the change was applied, and now we have 4 instances of the application available. Next, let's check if the number of pods changed. So using the kubectl get pods -o wide, you can see there are 4 pods now with different IP addresses. The change was registered in the deployment event logs. To check that, use the describe command. So we can check kubectl describe. You can see here the replicas are 4 now and they are in the updated. So you can also view the output of this command, that there are 4 replicas now. So let's start a service again to interact with our deployment using the same command and given as a type as a node port. So as you can see that service is exposed. Now let's check the service is load balancing the traffic. To find out the exposed IP and the port used to describe the service command, we can see that the current node port is 30,091. So we will be creating an environment variable where node port has the value of the node port. Next, we will do a curl to the exposed IP and the port. Execute the command multiple times. So now we hit a different pod with every request. This demonstrates that the load balancing is working. Now, to scale down the service to 2 replicas, run again the scale command. That is kubectl scale the deployment name and the replica to stating that is 2. So as you can see, the deployments has been scaled. So let's list the deployments to check if the changes was applied with the get deployments command. Okay, number of replicas is decreased to 2. So list the number of pods with the get pod command. So this confirms that 2 pods are in the terminating state, and so we have successfully scaled down to our 2 pods. So let's begin how you can update your app. So list your deployments, we can use the get deployments command. So that is kubectl get deployments, and to list the number of running pods, we can use the kubectl get pods command. So to view the current image version of the app, run a describe command against the previous pods, and that is kubectl describe pods. So look at the image field here, that is running on the version 1. So now to update the image of the application to version 2, use the set image command followed by the deployment name and the new image version, that is kubectl set image and the deployment name and then the new version, that is V2. So you can see that image has been updated. So the command notified the deployment to use the different image for your app, initiate a rolling update. Now check the status of the new pods and view the old one terminating with the get pods command. So as you can see, the two pods are in the terminating state. So let's check that the app is running. To find out our exposed IP and the port, we can use the describe service command. Now let's create an environment variable and store our node port there. So now we will do a curl to the exposed IP and the port if that is running or not using that node port. And now we hit a different port with every request. We see that all pods are running in the latest version of version 2, that is version 2. So the update can be confirmed also by running the rollout status command. And you can see that rollout has been successfully. So to view the current image of the version of the app, we can also run a command that is kubectl describe pods. We will now run the version 2 of the app. So look at the image field here. And as you can see that we are now running the version 2 of the app. So let's perform the another update and deploy image tagged as version 10. So we can use the set image command again by giving the version. That is, we are running now a version 10 command. So as you can see that the image has been updated. So we can use the kubectl get deployments command to, and you can see there is something is wrong. So we do not have the desired number of pods available. So we will list the pods again. And you can see that the image pullback of status. So
Vittal, sorry to interrupt.
yes,
Can you please speak little louder?
okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
So uh, as you can see, there is something wrong here, and uh, our image status has been image pullback off. So now to roll out our last update, we can uh, use the kubectl rollout undo command, that is kubectl rollout undo and the deployment name, and we can see that the rollback has been successfully. So we can list again the pods using kubectl get pods command. So as you can see, 3 pods are running, and if you want to check the image deployed on them, you can use the kubectl describe pods command. So as you can see, the current image is v2 now. So we see that the deployment is running on a stable version of the app version 2, and the rollout was successfully. And at the end, if you want to delete all the deployments of your. So you can use kubectl delete all hyphen all. So all the pods and the services exposed will be deleted automatically. Let me move on to the presentation again. Let me reshare the screen. So we have successfully uh, created the cluster, deployed an app. We have explored our app. We have learned how to expose our app. We have also looked into how to scale your app. Also, we have updated our app. And at the final note, so as a pen tester, what services are vulnerable to some attacks and all like that? So this is the high level architecture of Kubernetes. So as you can see that etcd is vulnerable, Kube API server is vulnerable, and what components are prone to attacks. So that's it, that these are the references, and thank you.